On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, some leftovers of the Avalanche and Kraken game. And as we put that behind us, we look forward to a very big game between the Avs and the Winnipeg Jets, the NHL leading Winnipeg Jets. You heard that right. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated, and make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions at lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you are subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. And we will get those opinions a little bit later for predictions and expectations when they go up against Winnipeg. We'll talk a lot about Winnipeg on today's episode, but we always put a bow on the most recent game, and we call this the morning leftovers. Anything that has stuck with us, stuck to the ribs from the most recent game, and that's the Avs and the Seattle Kraken. So let's dive in right there, man. So obviously we were talking about it yesterday. Kind of feel like that was the best game so far for Colorado. And anything that really kind of stuck with you through today, day after?
Yeah, we were talking yesterday about just the performance from, and we'll get into Georgiev going into tonight's Winnipeg game. But something interesting that hit me. Justus won the game last night in Seattle. Justus has been part of 5 of the 6 Colorado Avalanche wins this year. That's that really like sticks with you a little bit. Like it
tells you something, right?
Yeah, when you look back at it, you're like, oh, well, that's an interesting stat. And then we were talking before we hit record. Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar are leading the entire National Hockey League in points.
Yeah,
carrying a 13-point streak. It helps a little bit.
Like we talk about them so much, it's sometimes like you kind of just gloss over them. I'm not saying you take them for granted, but sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, that's just what they do. That's what you expect them to do. But you never want to lose sight of these two dudes play for us.
Yeah.
And how lucky you are to have two guys, and really Mikko, you can include Mikko in that too. But the way that right now MacKinnon and Makar are playing, again, I'm not saying you take it for granted, because I definitely don't. And I really hope Avalanche fans don't, because the fact that you have those two guys, two of the top 5 players on the planet, are on the same team and they're on your team, that's something that you shouldn't gloss over too much. And I don't know if people get sick of gloating about them all the time, but I don't care. I'm going to do it because you have these guys for a finite amount of time. And what do we do now? When you talk about like Joe Sakic and stuff like that, you always look back and you always say, like, oh man, I really wish I could watch him play again. Well, right now you're getting to watch these two guys play, and they are just in a world that very few people in this league are at. So it's exciting to watch. We don't know about Cale. I was going to bring this up. Cale Makar, he did get injured in that game, didn't play the third. And Jared Bednar did say he's going to make the trip to Winnipeg. Still up in the air on if he plays or not, though. So we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, and I bring up the Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon stat because it's something else that we like to forget about, and it's not getting talked about enough in the National Hockey League. The play of Ivan and Kovalenko it's been stellar. And they're getting better. Like, I know they don't have their loud nights. Like, Ivan has 5 points, Kovalenko has 6. But they have been, we're talking about identity on so many of the past episodes, especially in losses. This team just doesn't have an identity. Kovalenko and Ivan are slowly, quietly under the radar of incredible spectacles that you're getting from the offense of this team, Ivan and Kovalenko are really, really just settling in. They're playing comfortably, and they're becoming a real presence, and something I look forward to each and every night the Avalanche take the ice.
I mean, those are two guys that are in positions and roles where outside of the Avalanche world, you're not going to hear about it. You're not going to hear really what they're doing unless they, throw up a hat trick or something like that. But no, and when you watch every game that these guys play and watch every shift that they. All right, I don't know where it cut out, but all I was saying was that the two of those guys are settling in very nice. And when you watch the Avalanche, if you watch every game of them, like, you notice it. The outside world might not, and that's just fine. I don't care what I don't care about if they're getting the notoriety they should be getting. That I care if guys like Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar are. But we'll keep Ivan and Kovalenko in house, and they'll be our little secret, so to speak. You know what I mean?
It's a wonderful thing because it's like the opposing fan bases. You come for the Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Cale Makar spectacle, but they're playing at a level, Ivan and Kovalenko, where you walk away and those are names you're like, they stood out. That's interesting. Like Matty Beniers, I know he was a highly touted name when he was drafted, but coming out of that Seattle game, you're like, that Matty Beniers, he's scrappy. He's a presence. And I feel like opposing fan bases are now walking away saying the same thing about Ivan and Kovalenko. Ivan, yeah, he went trendy in juniors because of his name, but I think he has far surpassed meme status, and he's really cementing a role on this team.
I think you hit it right there when you said, like, they'll get noticed when they play a team and someone that's a fan of that other team walks away from that and is like, wow, those two guys really are a struggle to play against on like depth lines and things like that. So I think that's where the notoriety for them will, and that's true for a lot of depth players, right? When you go up against a team and you struggle against their third and fourth line, then they just give you headaches. Those are guys that just get under your skin as an opposing a fan base. Then they've done their job. And I feel like you're right. I think that's kind of where they're headed with Ivan and Kovalenko for sure. You mentioned Annunen in the beginning of all this, and that's where I'm at right now. Like, we'll get to Georgiev, like you said, in a minute, because he was named the starter for the Winnipeg game already. But I'm getting all what we said so many times in just watching this team and how they address the goalie position. And the word we use so many times with Georgiev is consistency, or wanting to have him to have consistency. It's been inconsistent. We want him to be consistent. And every game that Annunen plays, and that was my knock on him, was like, he just needs more starts and more games. Well, he's starting to get those. He's starting to now get more time, more consistent time. And because he's getting more consistent time, he's getting more consistent play. And you're getting more consistent play from him. So I'm like, I'm at that point, like real close of right now. We've said it many times. He's your guy. He is your starter right now because how he is playing. And with every passing game, I'm getting more and more sold on the idea of he's probably your guy for the rest of this year. I don't want to fully go there yet because it is still early, and this is the first time he's really been given more opportunity. So I still do need to see a few more games out of him. But if he keeps doing this, it's what you want as an Avalanche franchise, of just give us consistency in net. And if you can shut the other team down to 3 goals per game, we will take that. We will take that in a league where scoring is up, and it's tough to get shut out in 1 goal against games anymore. So with the Avalanche and how they know they have an offensive minded team, if you get that, that's all they want. is just a guy who can surrender three at the most, and they are comfortable. He's doing that for you. So I'm getting in that Annunen camp, and give me a few more of those and I will be fully in that camp.
And you know what? Take this conversation and let's talk about Georgiev, because I want to compare your elation that you just spoke with to what we're about to see tonight against Winnipeg.
Okay. Let's get our first break in, and we'll get to that Georgiev talk. And real quickly, when we come back from the break, Jared Bednar did address the Gabe Landeskog potential injury stuff. So we'll just touch on that quickly right after this. First, let's hear from Game Time. Game Time, the ticket app, has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. What do we love about the Game Time app? They have curated deals that make it easy to find the best price on great deals. They have the seat view, views from your seat before you buy. The way it's ingrained into the app is just seamless. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You don't have to select your seat, then your section, and where you want to go. And then you see the field of view. It's right there. Perfect. Love it. Lowest price guarantee. They have event cancellation protection and job loss protection. How about that? Right now, Game Time is having an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic people at Wrigley Field. Go to the Game Time app to purchase tickets and get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% on home plate home plate area seats. Come on now.
That's not bad.
I mean, if I lived in that area, I'd be eating that up. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Mr. Sullivan?
It's game time.
Oh, you have a new band on that bad
You
boy.
betcha.
How about that?
2.0.
All right. Also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, which is, of course, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on all the NFL action all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with that $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Hey, Risty Von Doom.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
I'm rugged. I'm rugged.
That does look rugged. That looks like, you're going to be off-roading with that one.
You betcha.
All right. So before we get to Georgiev and Winnipeg, Jared Bednar did address the Gabe Landeskog setback. And he didn't make it as dire as what Dater was saying. Dater's sources were saying it was a severe setback with the contemplation of they might have to force this retirement on him. Bednar was much more like loose about it and says we've had like setbacks, but some of the setbacks are like, this is how I was getting, I'm paraphrasing, but we've had setbacks all along the way. Some are major, like, hey, we got to do a surgery and you're out the whole next year. Others are, you just need a couple days to not do anything, to not do those reps on the ice. And if you're just feeling a little tingle in there, just take a couple days and then we'll get back to it. Seems like that's where they are. So I guess he's like confirming that there was a setback, but the severity of it, he wasn't diving deep into that. And he didn't really seem like it was as severe as the original report of what Dater was talking about.
All right. Every time I have a comment on this, it goes right to Landy's ears. So, Landy, if you're listening, cover your ears. Give me a sound check, buddy. Just cover your ears for just a second.
Yeah, listen to LOA's sound check,
Yeah, just
volume 4.
get that playlist going right now, buddy. I hear what Bednar's saying, and I hear what Dater's saying. That's both ends of the spectrum. But honestly, right in the middle, the unspoken out loud part, he hasn't played a game yet, and we're still here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's still a little concerning. And again, everybody look at your watch, look at your calendar. We're getting ready to roll into Thanksgiving of 2024. When did we hoist that cup? Many moons ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a while. And if we're one step forward, two steps back, are we making progress? How close are we?
It's tough to say that, though. It's tough to say if we're making progress, because if he's at a point where it's just like you just got to get that knee stronger, you're still not there. But I feel like because we went through, we had a setback, and then that setback was we got to have another surgery or a different surgery, and you're out the whole next season. I think anytime we hear that word now or that phrase setback, we're going right to that. We're going right to, oh no, like he's going to be out another year. He's going to be out another 3 months. Like, and I don't want to fully go to that extreme. I get why people do, but I think both things can be true. I think, what Bednar is saying is that, a setback could just be maybe you pushed a little bit too hard in that last one and you just woke up and it was hurting a little bit extra. So just take an extra day. It could be that too. We don't know, because this is a great unknown with this injury and with this surgery. So it really is all just, we're flying by the seat of our pants here.
But what is known, it has been 3 years, and my goodness,
Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old kid. Like, I don't want my kids to get their license and still wait for Gabe Landeskog to make his return.
Oh man, I don't think it's going to go that long.
But it's like we're still here 3 years later. What's a fourth year at this point? What? Not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Like, eventually, we got to start having some conversations here instead of Dater and Bednar. We got to start hearing something from Landy.
I mean, if he's on LTIR and his number's not hitting the cap, they'll wait as long as they need to. You know what I mean? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, when it comes to money, LTIR, it's not hurting anything, but
right,
the anticipation sure does.
Oh, sure. We're all anticipating. We all want this to happen. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye and ear on that. All right. So let's get into this Winnipeg game. We did also hear from Jared Bednar that he's already said Alexandar Georgiev is going to start this game in Winnipeg, and Makar won't even make the trip. So Annunen will be the backup for this game. How we were saying with the beginning of the year, like Georgiev's your guy, and you want to get Annunen more starts throughout the season. Now that that's flipped, I still think that holds true. I still think you need to play Georgiev or a backup, because I don't want too much weight to be on Annunen. Just like we didn't want it to be with Georgiev, the same needs to hold true. Just because Annunen is playing well, we don't want to just throw everything on him and give him Georgiev, the lifting like Georgiev weight of 60 starts. They're not going to do that to him because he's, so young and inexperienced. But so, and anytime Georgiev gets a start now, people are like, yeah, here we go. So let's throw this one in the trash bin. And I don't want to do that. Like, this guy plays for the team that I root for. I'm going to root for him. And, maybe he turns in a great performance. So I don't think people are happy about this because it's a Winnipeg team that is just lighting the league on fire right now. And it's in their barn. So fans are like, why are we not putting our best guy in? I get that. I do understand that. And I would kind of agree with it. So I'm saying, where to give Annunen a break. He needs them. Would I do it for this game? Maybe not. Maybe not, because he is obviously the one that's playing better.
I absolutely agree, because this is not the game that you want to test him out. When it comes to Georgiev, let me just go ahead and take my heart out of this. After this year, I don't have much of it left. I don't feel anything. So I'm going to give you some stats.
Mm-hmm.
He's 1 for 4 1 win, 4 losses. That's tied for 51st best goalie record. 54th when it comes to save percentage. Like, we're talking like the guy that we were talking about before the year. This is our guy, and we need to balance him and Justus. Justus has played himself into a starter, and Georgie's playing himself out of the league with these numbers.
Well, that's an extreme statement. I don't think he's playing himself out of the league. I don't. I mean, I don't think he's. If he doesn't have a role with the Avalanche, he can't get a role. He can, but
on the road this year, he has a .688 save percentage.
Yeah, that's the one. Like, so your next game is you go up to Winnipeg for this one, and then you're right back home on Saturday against the Hurricanes, they're a good team too. You know what I mean? So you pick your poison, but this is a division game.
Yeah.
And if you listen to our crossover with Locked On Preds, the one before that. No, it was with the Locked On Preds. Yeah. We were talking about the division games. And the episode before that, we were talking about the schedule in November. There's not a lot of division games in November. So you only have 3 left, 3 division. This is one of them. I kind of feel like you play all your best players for the division games and then give Georgiev the start at home against an East Coast team who's coming from, I don't know if the Hurricanes are playing the day before or not, but let me check their schedule.
Unless this is putting Georgie in the net, saying this is, you remember your incredible spark you had in the playoffs last year against this team? Mm-hmm. Well, literally everything is on the line for you. Your numbers, you can improve it in this game. This is a division matchup. We need these points. We need you to play in this game. And if not, like, you can't roll him out because he got that win against the Ducks. And you look at that one win and everybody says, oh, but it's the Ducks. Mm-hmm. You're giving him a quality start. So if he does play out of his mind to get a win, he did beat the Jets that one time when they were really red hot. That goes on his resume. Mike can flip things around. But this is the Avs doubling down on Georgie, saying this is your playoff moment when you really stood up last year and played the best you've played for us. Replicate it again, or there's the door.
That's what they're banking on.
Yep.
That is what they, his performance in the playoffs. Let's do that again. And maybe they're thinking, let's throw him into a hard situation.
Yep.
Let's see how he responds to that. Because they still have to make some sort of decision on this 3-headed monster in goal. Like, this can't keep going. I can't imagine. I can't imagine they want to keep that rolling. So, hey, let's give him the hardest scenario that he's maybe had to face so far this year. And if he succeeds, that benefits the team.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then there's got to be more conversations that need to be had. So we'll see how it goes. Let's get our last break in. I have you had stats. I have Winnipeg stats here that are, a team that's lost 1 game to this point in the season. They're going to have some gaudy stats, but you always look for the one area where the Avs or any team can exploit your opponent. And I might have found that here with Winnipeg. So let's get our last break in, and we'll talk about that and then not listen to, but you'll listen to me talk about what our subtext people had to say. So we'll do all that coming up next. First, we're going to hear from Indeed, because we're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. So don't search, match with Indeed. It's your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So ditch the busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So listeners of Locked On Avalanche get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/locked-on. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, so big game for the Avalanche, going up to Winnipeg and facing off against a team that's just been hitting all the right notes right now. It may be a little bit of a surprise that they've started off at this. I think they're 12-1-0. I don't think
Mhm.
they've so they're on a roll. And when you have a team that's playing that well, yeah, you're gonna have some really nice stats, and they do. And I just kind of went and looked at like team stats. They have the most goals scored in the league at 62, 8 more than Vegas. Their goal differential is a plus 32, which is 12 more than the New York Rangers, who's in second. Their goals for above expected is 21.56. Goals above expected. They have 21 more goals than expected, which is far and away first in the league. Second in the league is Vegas at 16.4, and that's a really nice number. After that, at third is Florida at 9.5, and that's where a logjam starts. Everything under 10. Most of your teams are under 10. Actually, 30 of your teams are under 10. And Winnipeg is at 21.56. So they are getting goals at a crazy rate. They're not letting up rebounds and rebound goals. They've only let up 3 goals off of rebounds, which no surprise there when you have an all-world goalie like Hellebuck. He's not going to give up a lot of goals. And high danger shots against 32, which is second lowest in the league, only to Vancouver, who has 25. So you look at all that stuff and they're like, wow, they're doing great offensively. Defensively, they're giving Hellebuck just a walk in the park because everything is low to medium danger shots. There's very few high danger shots. Where can you beat them? There's one stat in here where they are the worst in the league, believe it or not. Well, it's really 2, but they kind of go hand in hand. And that's defensive zone giveaways. I shouldn't say they're the worst in the league for that. They're third worst in the league. They've had 104 defensive zone giveaways. And where they are worst in the league is percentage of giveaways in the defensive zone. 56% of the time, their giveaways are in the defensive zone, which is the worst in the league. So what does that mean? Arturi Lehkonen, go have a day, my man.
Yeah.
And forecheck the heck out of these guys because they might turn it over. And that's where you could see some goals for the Avalanche. A quick turnover in the Winnipeg defensive zone and have someone flying up through the slot into the house and get a quick shot on net to Hellebuck that he can't react to. That's how you're going to win this game, if you ask me.
And you know who also who was listed day to day up until yesterday?
Okay.
Would be one Connor Hellebuck.
Was he really listed? I didn't see that.
So, with all of these wonderful stats that you threw out there,
yeah,
I'm also yelling and screaming at everyone in burgundy and blue. There's blood in the water. You could take advantage of this goalie. When you're not throwing out a lot of stats that really benefit the Avs, especially with the expected goals being 3 touchdowns. That doesn't speak well for the Avs. And when you were talking about their defensive zone giveaways, I was just sitting here listening to that stat saying, why can Nuke not be a part of this team right now?
Yeah. I mean, when you have both of those guys, when you have Lehkonen and Chuskin out there,
or Miles Wood.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of like a wild card in that aspect, but you know the way that Val and Lehkonen play that position in forechecking is they're 2 of the best in the league at doing it. So when they're both out there, sometimes and a lot of times they play on the same line. That's just a nightmare for the opposition. When they stagger them and put them on 2 different lines, that's back-to-back lines where those they're right up on those guys and making life heck for them.
And it also benefits players like LOC. Who also is due for a little come out game. Like he's been relatively quiet.
Yeah.
And you can also use this power play to your benefit as well. You were 3 for 5 against Seattle. Like to see that really use the man advantage, go out with that same philosophy, scoring quick and often against Winnipeg, because you went 2 goals in every frame against Seattle. That's kind of the expected production you need to beat a team like Winnipeg right now.
Yeah. So what do our subtext people think? We got some predictions from them. We'll jump right to Vargar. He says Georgiev gives up 4, Avs lose 4-3. Had to start with that one. I mean, he's not the biggest Georgiev fan. I know there's a lot of Avalanche fans that are not right now, but he's going right to the Georgiev giving up 4 goals.
I mean, you could sim it 1,000 times, and that's probably going to be the result.
And we will sim it 1,000 times with the money puck deserve to win meter when this game is over. Brandon, he says a 5-4 loss. Georgiev has his typical let in a bunch of goals again. I just like, okay, I get it. But if he lets in like too early, I mean, 2 goals early on, like the social media is just going to blow up.
They're going to leave him in Winnipeg. What are you talking about?
Adam says it's really hard to bet against the Jets right now. I want to say the Avs will keep rolling, but Makar probably won't be playing. We don't know that, Adam. So hold on tight.
Don't worry, Georgiev is.
And if it turns into a goalie battle, it'll favor Winnipeg. That is true. And he feels like the Jets are going to win 4-2. This is the most, I think our subtext people are on the opposite end right here. Most of the time, they're very bullish and giving, the Avs a benefit of doubt and picking them to win. But those are 3 right there. Yeah.
This is what I'm screaming right here. I talk about how the team plays different in front of Georgie and net. This is what the fan perception is when you can't even look at it with burgundy and blue glasses and say, give some wacky hypothetical how the Avs are going to win. This is 3 subtexters in a row that say the Avs will lose because Georgie's in net.
Here's a good one from Cody, because we were talking about, hey, they're looking back at the playoffs and how Georgiev played against them in the playoffs. But don't forget this. Cody says Georgiev played well against Winnipeg in the playoffs, but got absolutely lit up by them during the regular season. And given how Winnipeg is right now and how Georgiev is playing, unfortunately, I think Winnipeg is going to pull out the win. So, I mean, yeah, I guess recency bias is Georgiev had a good series against him in the playoffs. Rewind it back even just a couple weeks, and Winnipeg just lit him up. So we don't know what we're going to get here. Obviously, I want the guy to win. I want them to play well. But you would think like all of the cards are stacked against you right now. But it doesn't mean he can't go out and win the game.
No, he has to. It doesn't mean we're not spinning hypothetical. Georgie, you have to get out there and win this game. 900 save percentage or bust.
Yeah, man. And finally, Lisa, I understand Georgiev needs playing time. I understand the schedule is tough this month. That said, why start Georgiev against Winnipeg? Seems like a poor choice. I have to say the Avs lose, and I'll go with a score of 5-2. Our subtext crew is not feeling good about this, despite how the Avs played against Seattle. And that was a very good game. They feel like this is, you go from the highs of that game and comes crashing down against a Winnipeg team that's on a roll right now. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch and how short that leash actually will be and how much damage will be done early. That first period is going to be huge.
The first 5 minutes is going to be huge. If you can get through that, then get through the next 5 minutes of the first, and then get through the next 5 minutes, and then get through the full 20. But you literally have to take the first period 5 minutes at a time, and don't get too ahead of yourself. If you
need Rolaids.
Yeah, no, man. But hey, I always, the way that the Avalanche team is constructed, I always feel like they have a shot. I never feel like, going in, here's a chalked loss. I never really feel that way. Or a scheduled loss, as people say. I don't really like that phrasing, but I don't think this is one of them. I think they absolutely can go in and win this game. It's going to be a fight because that's a tough place to play. Even if Winnipeg was a 500 team, that's a difficult place to play when people show up. And when they do, and they are right now, because this team is rolling, it's going to be a tough game. There's no doubt about it. But I still have faith that the Avalanche can do this. Why not?
There's not a lot of numbers that back this up. There's not a lot of faith that backs this up. This is going to be a willpower game.
It's gut check.
Yep.
It's gut check is what it is. So, all right. Well, however it goes, we will be talking about it on tomorrow's episode. So make sure you tune in to that one. But for this one, thank you for making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Guess what? You got through another 24 hours, people. It's one day closer of Sidney Crosby wearing the Colorado Avalanche colors.
Play for
Bring him to Winnipeg.